The concept of sensory branding is really universal. It is universal because we're all equipped with five senses, well, at least most of us. And I don't need to tell you that if I cut away one of your senses, like if you couldn't see suddenly, you would feel fairly handicapped. If I cut away two senses, I'm sure you'll start to be incredibly depressed. Three senses, you'll almost be dead. All five senses, you are dead. We really survive based on our five senses. And the more a brand is able to appeal to the senses, the more powerful it becomes. Now, there's differences across the world. What we learned is that the sense of touch is really important in Japan. The sense of smell is important in Japan and in countries like India, where also the sense of sound is actually probably the most important sense. In America, it's a sense of sound and smell, followed by the sense of sight. So depending on where you are in the world, the senses have different importances. But the rule of thumb is that all are incredibly important. And the rule of thumb today is that most companies are failing to appeal to the senses when they're building their brands. It is very challenging to adapt a sensory branding strategy if you try to make it complete from day number one. I normally say that you have to pick the low-hanging fruit first. And by that I mean find that little thing which can be changed instantly. If you take McDonald's as an example, if you go into most of the toilets in McDonald's, they smell of toilet. And quite often the toilets are placed just next to the counter where you're ordering the food. Now, I don't need to tell you, when you think about it, it actually is a conflict that I'm ordering food and it smells of toilet at the same time. Now, you don't need to do a lot of change in order to change the smell, and suddenly you'll see a huge difference in the revenue. And that's just one example about how companies and brands around the world, just by altering their perception a little bit, using the senses in a different way, suddenly can change the entire view about what this brand stands for. Well, I guess the fact is today that I'm presenting to more than 1 million business people around the world every year. So there's quite a lot of people out there which have been participating in the workshops. The feedback is pretty impressive, I guess I can say, because we actually are asking people straight after the workshops if they like this, and more than 90% is claiming that the workshops are excellent. 7%, the rest of the 7% are saying they're very good, and 3% are saying they're good, and 0 are saying they're average. So I think the numbers speak for themselves. I'm delighted about that, but I do not rest on my laurels. I'm not saying, gee, that's good, now let's relax. In fact, I want to reinvent the workshop every year, and that's what I'm doing. So if you were participating a year ago, what you see today is totally different from just 12 months ago. Well, my hope is always also for me to learn. Whenever I'm spending time with the audience, it's a two-way process. Yes, of course, my goal is to give a lot, but also the more they interact with me, the more they'll get back, because that's really the way for me to achieve even better results. Because when we have a dialogue, suddenly I also realize where the problems are, the concerns and challenges the audience have, and that way I can reflect on that. So I really hope that the audience I'll meet will be really engaged and create an amazing dialogue, because that's where the best outcome comes in the end of the day. I love duels. I love to be in dialogue. I love to be challenged. I love critical questions, because that's really what's stimulating me. So the tougher people can be on me, the more they can question what I've done, the better. I welcome every critical question, because that's the way I improve.